We are
back.
so happy to have with us today actor Michael Berry. Michael, hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Ooh, I like the BBB. I haven't gotten that yet.
Yes.
That's how we do. We make sure we give the best welcomes here at Pride to Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing well. I'm home with my family right now. My dad just retired, so I'm home helping my parents do renovations on their house. I'm learning
Aw.
how to use a drill and to put up plaster walls. It's very exciting.
Yes, but
Oh, she's a butch queen.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, totes mess for mess, bro.
don't, don't drop your voice now.
Well,
No,
congratulations to your dad though for his.
I
Yeah.
know, right?
That's
Where
exciting.
is home?
Syracuse, New York,
Oh,
upstate
Okay.
in the.
wow, upstate,
no,
Yup.
very lovely. I've never been that far up.
I
that's
have I
amazing.
have an aunt there that lives there.
Really?
Hmm.
Oh, nice. It's
Yeah.
it's a nice little town. SU is lovely. There's
Hmm.
We have the mall. The mall's great.
So you're saying there's not much of the town, you know?
No, there actually is. It's gotten so much nicer since I left. Like when I was a kid, there wasn't much to do. And then probably in the last 10 years, whenever I come home, I'm like, oh wait, downtown's really cute. Why wasn't this nice when I lived here? Now it's like
Yeah.
a lovely town.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
how I feel when every time I go home to Lubbock, Texas. It was then I was like, I need to get the hell out of here. And then when I go back, it's always like, oh, that's new. This new restaurant's new. Oh, there's like
Hmm.
a new golf
Yeah.
course. Like,
Well, and even over quarantine, I think a lot of people have done kind of what I did, where I've been home a lot over the last year because, I can film from anywhere. And I think loads of people have moved back because even like in the last 6 months, there's like 2 apartment buildings went up. I was like, what?
Yep.
Well, you got to be careful of those sometimes people moving back because I be trying to hide, put on glasses, don't look at me, don't talk to me. We didn't talk in high school. I can't be doing it. We were talking actually, Michael, in the green room about being back in your childhood bedroom
Yes.
after all this time. So how is that? Do you feel like you like went back into this child like position, or do you love it? How do you feel about it?
I mean, it's been really nice being home, but yes, I definitely feel like I've reverted to like 8-year-old me often when I'm back. Things like both my parents home. I'm like, why aren't there more snacks here? And like back sleeping on my childhood little like twin bed, which is I literally like have rolled out of it now multiple times because I'm used to a larger bed now. But it's so nostalgic. Like I'm looking at my desk right now. My old teddy bear Cubby is right in front of me that I slept with, all through, all growing up. And
You're mean.
Oh.
I brought my doll. It scares everyone in my house, but I brought my doll that I grew up with to New York with me, and it's still on my couch. But obviously, when I have a guy over, I have to hide it. But I
oh,
still have them, and I think it's really special. So I love that, Michael.
yeah, there's certain choices because my mom is a real like when in doubt, throw it out type of person.
yeah,
And
Oh,
so like I
same.
know there have been times when I, have come home for a long stretch and she'll go through mine and my sister's rooms and just sort of throw out garbage bags of stuff. But she's kept this one, like this toy is special.
Moms have no
Cubby.
bounds. Moms will throw
Yeah.
anything.
My mom
Listen,
loves throwing stuff out. She loves
yeah.
it.
And
It's
and
with joy.
and Ashley was saying too, it's like you leave things on the floor for 2 seconds and your parents overreacting, like, I'm throwing everything away. And they don't just
Uh-huh.
throw that one thing away. They throw the whole house and you're like,
Yeah.
all you have to do is ask me to pick it up.
Oh, yeah. What's
Right.
hilarious is my dad is the opposite. He hates throwing things out. So my mom will throw a
Me
lot of things out.
too.
And then at like 2 o'clock in the morning, he'll sneak out and salvage things and then like hide them in the garage. And she'll like look through. She's like, I thought I threw this out like 2 years ago. And he's like,
Yeah.
no.
No, that's my dad as well.
Yeah,
And my
it's
mom
hilarious.
hates it.
Yeah,
It's so
I mean,
funny.
yeah.
I love that.
I love it. So listen, we want to get down to, these past 14, 15 months at this point. I don't even know what it is.
Who
Has
knows?
been pretty crazy in terms of the pandemic. So obviously you've been back home and been able to visit your family, but how has the pandemic like affected your work life and what you do? And tell everyone what it is that you do so they can know a little bit more about you.
Well, these days I've like accidentally become a social media personality, I guess you could say. Again, look, this is how cool I am that I don't even know what the real title would be. It feels weird to say influencer. So yeah, I'm an actor, and before lockdown, I primarily did theater,
Mhm.
and so there's nothing to do. And I've done lots of improv. And when we first went into lockdown, I started this little Instagram series, I guess you could say, called Quarantine Time.
Mhm.
And I put on Instagram and TikTok where I do a parody of Moira Rose from Schitt's Creek. Just because right
Love
before
it.
lockdown in an improv jam, I did her accent. I did Moira Rose as if she was the manager of a Sephora. It was like, you realize that is not your color. You need to remember to blend all the way down your neck. And people said it was funny. And all my comedy friends were creating podcasts and web series and doing all this amazing stuff. And I was like, well, my roommate had a beat up old wig at the bottom of his closet. So I like popped it in my head and improvised a thing. And it just kind of, as she says on the show, I think she's like, it's an avalanche rolling downhill, picking up body, like something like that. But yeah, it sort of accidentally took off. And so a couple times a week, yeah, now I have up to 30, I think 35 different wigs. And I get dressed up, and each time is a new topic. And it's just sort of Moira giving her very, very specific perspective on life in quarantine. And it started out as just her, and now I do the whole family, as well as like 20 other impressions that, like Dolly Parton and Moira had tea the other day, or like, I had her and Patrick Stewart doing Shakespeare together. But
You have to be Patrick Stewart. I have to hear Patrick.
Well, it was.
Oh, I usually have to listen to it first.
It was like, Moira, hello. This is a very bad impression. I promise when I did the video, it was much better.
Better right at the end.
It's the better. I love it.
Slowly got there.
Because I'm recently I'm currently watching the show right now. I'm up to season 4. And so when I was doing research on you, and I was like, wait a minute. Oh my God, this is perfect. This is great.
Thank you.
You do it so well.
Thank you. It's crazy. It's even like here yesterday, or 2 days ago, I did one where Moira, we're, like I said, doing home renovations, and we were painting my mom's bathroom, and I was like, how funny would this be? So I did Moira and Alexis, but they were painting, and neither of them knew what priming meant. And meanwhile, my mom hired her friend's daughter to come and clean the house. And so this poor girl is like walking around cleaning while I'm like running in and out of the bathroom in wigs and dresses. In there by myself being like, well, how do you prime walls? You just prime the walls. Like,
That's a really good Alexis as well. Listen, I think if they do any type of reboot, hey, David. If they do,
David, COVID, you COVID.
ill COVID for sure. I mean, if they did any kind of reboot, you definitely should be on it. Which listen, the show is so successful. I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to do a movie or something.
Oh, I would love it. They just cast me as her like creepy stalker from Sunrise Bay who just follows her around.
Yeah.
It's like, but Moira, I love you.
Great. Put it into the atmosphere. Let's manifest it.
Right.
Yeah. Let's put that out there. So, you were talking about doing your impressions from Schitt's Creek. So how was it getting like basically approval from the queen herself, Catherine O'Hara? Like, how did that make you feel, and like what did that do to you?
That was incredible. That was right about the time where I was like, I'm either gonna get a cease and desist, or you have to hear from somebody. Yeah, when she was doing an interview before the Emmys, the man interviewing her just asked her about her accent, and he was like, how does it feel to have created such an iconic voice that people such as this guy Michael imitate you? And she was like, oh, he's really good, his writing is really good. And then she quoted me, which was insane, because I've been a fan of hers since well before Schitt's Creek. I think she's brilliant, but from all the Christopher Guest movies and Home Alone and SCTV, I've loved her forever. So like I always say, it's as if like Einstein came down and was like, you're really good at math. Like it's she's, I think, one of the greatest comedic actors of all time. So to have her give her stamp of approval of me parodying her I literally almost walked into traffic. Like I nearly died. I got the text while I was walking down the street and almost walked in front of a truck. I was like, well, at least I would die really, really happy. But luckily I didn't drop my phone or get hit by a truck. So it was a very successful day.
It's a win-win all around.
Yeah.
I love to hear it.
Well, I have a question because as you know, COVID has really just shut down everything, and you are an actor. So obviously live theater right now is kind of,
Yeah.
But what advice do you have for our listeners out there who are suffering from imposter syndrome?
Oh, imposter syndrome. So I am, like I said, I'm such an old man. I don't know about current things. And I had to, someone actually did an interview with me specifically to talk about how to combat imposter syndrome, and they had to explain to me what imposter syndrome was. And then after they did, I was like, oh my God, I'm the poster child for that, for Exhibit A.
Yeah.
The fact that I don't even know what it is. And yeah. So I definitely feel all the time, just because like someone had to actually get on FaceTime and walk me through how to use Twitter. And yet inexplicably, I've become a TikToker, Instagrammer, Twitter personality. And how I've sort of dealt with it, because I feel kind of guilty because I know people who are working really hard to try and break into it.
Right.
And for me, it's just actually just staying true to myself. It's like, I've never really chased hashtags or trends. I've always sort of done my thing, you know, even though this is a parody of characters that have been created by other people or celebrity impressions. For the most part, all the scripts that I write are my own. And a lot of them reflect how I'm feeling in that moment. A lot of them are kind of autobiographical, and that's been sort of a therapeutic thing for me over the course of quarantine. And so that's how I've sort of dealt with it. It's like, no, these all are from my perspective. This is my voice, and this is how I genuinely feel. And if it gets 10 views or 10 million views, then amazing. But I think that's sort of how I dealt with it. It's like, no, what I'm doing is very honest. And I can feel proud of that, you know.
That's great, because I know a few times when we were at like the daytime Emmys or, you know, any kind of like big event that we go to, sometimes I'm like, what are we doing here? Like,
I still say
why am I
all the time. Recently, just being home right now, I was talking to like my mom's friends and stuff, and they're like, Ashley, tell us what you're doing. And I was like, oh, not really nothing going on right now. And mom was like, are you kidding me? Like, you're literally just finished doing a docuseries for HBO, you're doing the podcast, you did this. I was just like, I mean, yeah. Just like, it's hard to believe like that you're being successful. Sometimes it just doesn't feel that way. You feel like you don't deserve it, but we absolutely do, and we should celebrate ourselves, you know?
Yeah, which is sometimes harder than it seems, to be like, wait, no, I just did something really cool. Go me.
Yeah.
Which is to be like, huzzah.
It's really difficult. And I think that a lot of times when we focus on that, like I've had some moments in the past few days, everybody knows on this call, because I've been messaging and calling, it's like where you're in your head and you're just like, am I doing what I need to do in order to be successful? Am I doing enough? Did I take full advantage of this pandemic? I mean, you know, I still say that the year was shut down for a reason, and it's kind of like I don't know if we all took the best advantage of it. I think we all did the best we could, and we tried to put positivity in the world that was dark. So I think we did the best we could.
Yeah, like I know when I first started with this, when I first started, and it was like this went from an inside joke with my friends to something that other people were watching. My mom called me and she was like, Michael, please just make every video positive. Like that's what we all need right now. And so that's what each one also I try and find sort of like the silver lining to whatever the theme of it is. Because you're right. I don't know. And taking advantage of quarantine, I think if you came out of this with your health and your sanity, you did it well.
Yeah.
Like,
did.
Yeah,
you know,
we made it through the other side, thank God.
Yeah. You know, because I have so many friends who are creatives, you know, writers, actors, whatever. And some, you know, did that. They wrote 4 scripts and The Great American Novel and 2 screenplays and met Meryl Streep. And then, you know, some people literally just binged New Girl and Grey's Anatomy and caught up on sleep. And I think both are equally successful.
I thank you so much.
Hear it. I hear that.
I have a question. So like, you know how like Grey's Anatomy or like General Hospital, for example, they're both like hospital shows, dramas. Do you think that like they should have incorporated like COVID or leave it out? Because I know a lot of people are like, I don't want to see that on TV. Like I lived it already. Like I don't want to have to rehash or relive it. And I think General Hospital was on the flip side of it, and they didn't like bring it into the storyline or anything like that. So what do you think? Like, do you think that like it should be mentioned because it was a huge part of all of our lives, or just, you know, leave it alone
in the real world?
Yeah. I mean, I will say pretty much everything I watched over quarantine was very escape. I watched 22 seasons of Survivor, but I think I could relate to that. They were, I know, and I've never watched that show before, as well as also I've become addicted to Drag Race, like all these wonderful shows that I'd never really watched before, and a lot of them were, but I don't know. I think it's hard to ignore COVID. It was so huge. And yeah, like I wasn't actively seeking out shows at the time, but I think shows now moving forward, especially because we're kind of coming out of it.
Yeah.
I think it makes sense to at least acknowledge it. It's like I just read one script where, clearly it was written before, and they just put one line in where they were like in a crowded bar, and they were like, "Oh, isn't it so nice that we can finally go out without masks?" And then the rest of the show,
Yeah,
I was like, "Yeah, just
nice.
Just acknowledge it, right? That something had happened.
Yeah. But hospital shows, I don't know. Maybe I don't know that I'll want to watch an entire episode where it was just like COVID patients.
See, that's why like Grey's right now, like this current season, it's like it's good, I guess, with all these crossovers with Station 19.
Is it good, Adam? How do you feel about it?
Adam hates the crossovers. You hate it.
Look on your face when you said that.
No.
I don't like it's like, oh, to find out what happened on Grey's, you've got to watch minute 10 to 15 of Station 19 to find out. It's like, come on.
So Adam hates Station 19 and he will not support it. And the thing that
I will die on that.
Well, that's the hill you want to die on, sis.
But you don't even watch it, Adam.
Right. We started it.
Yeah, but it's gotten so much better. It has gotten better. And the thing is, but I do agree with Adam on it is a very much TV trickery to make you watch Station 19 to find out if your most beloved Grey's Anatomy character dies. Like it's kind of, well, in order to find out, I guess I got to watch that. Like, because there was a scene that happened a couple of weeks ago, and I was just like, well, how did it get to this point? And we would have had to watch Station 19 to find out. We didn't, but someone died, and it was just like, how did that happen? So it's real messy how they do it, but I understand why they do it, because they have to go off the backs of each other to be successful. That's true. How they do it.
That's right. I mostly just watch British period pieces, and it's tough to do a combo episode of like Call the Midwife and something else.
Carry that. So you were saying you binge watched Survivor. We had Zeke Smith from what cycle? What
season? Well, he was on the Millennials versus.
He came back for that, yeah.
Gen Z or
then I probably watched him. I know I watched a couple of those ones.
Yeah, I actually knew him here in New York, and then he randomly popped up on Survivor one night, and I was like, what? Yeah, and so we got to talk to him, and he's a friend of the pod. That's great.
I'll have to get in touch, because I haven't, granted, this was beginning of quarantine that I watched all those seasons of it, but then I definitely made a Survivor audition tape one day, my sister and I, which I never actually sent in because they weren't going to film the season, and then now I'm doing other things, but they just announced that they are going to start filming a new one, and I was talking to my sister because I got her into it too. I was like, we should submit.
You should do it.
Although I hate bugs, and I don't know, it seems like there's always bugs everywhere. Same. Like that's the one thing I love, the outdoors, but I don't know if I could do the bugs.
I can't eat bugs. Like, don't put them near me. I can't do it.
Ashley would lose $100,000 to eat it. Like
I will.
I'll eat the bugs. I just don't want them to eat me.
Nope. Guess I'll be broke. No, I can do it.
Can't do it.
If it's money, there's not much that anyone on this podcast wouldn't do for money. I'm basically Lisa Rinna. I'll do it.
Yeah, same. Eating is easy because I'm an awful cook. Like a bug is a step up from what I normally cook. So my food kind of tastes like cardboard, and add salt to cardboard, and you have whatever it is I've made, which is fine. It's usually healthy and keeps me alive.
At least it's salt. At least you're putting some on it.
There's some.
Well, at least you're home now. Do your parents cook?
They have been, although part of the reason I'm an awful cook is neither of my parents are exactly known for their culinary prowess. Again, growing up, both my parents worked a lot. So it was dinner was usually rushed and healthy. So it was we would eat at 10 o'clock at night. The smoke alarm would go off and we'd be like, oh, dinner's ready. And it honestly was something that just kept you alive, not necessarily something to be enjoyed. Again, though, since I've grown up and left and now they have more time, they both have actually become much better cooks now that I don't live at home. But that's why you go one of two ways. I'm an awful cook who just food is a thing that you have to do, and then my sister is an amazing cook because she went up and she was like, there's more to life than just sodium, Michael. I was like, I don't know.
Is there? No. I love that.
So you're watching Drag Race.
Yes, I love Drag Race. I was like, how did I not watch this before? My roommate has been a fan since day one. So he basically he's been my tour guide over the course. We've watched all the, series that have been airing throughout. And then he's taken me back to watch his favorite previous seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Who's your favorite queen?
Ooh, I mean, watching Katya and Trixie's show, their YouTube, like, which they need to have Bernadette Peters on one day so she can just like, ooh.
A good Bernadette too.
That would be perfect. They're probably my two favorites because they were my introduction to Drag Race, and I could never pick between the two. I love them both so much.
Yeah, I went to DragCon years ago, and I wanted one queens I wanted to meet was Trixie. Well, of course, that line was just hours long, and I was like, I'm not gonna fight little 13-year-old girls to get into it.
Oh,
so I just bought some merch, and I like waved at her from like her merch line, and I was just like, I love you.
Did she wave back?
No, she didn't. No, she's too busy.
She's busy. I have so much respect for her. What?
I've gotten on the Trixie train. Listen, I held something against Trixie because I was like, Shangela definitely was robbed of her. I held something against Trixie. I like Trixie though. I took Adam for his birthday, Christmas. I took him for some kind of
Christmas present.
Sure, I took him to go see Trixie, and it was great. She was funny. She had me laughing in tears the whole time. It was a great night. And then COVID happened.
Moving
so
parts.
I don't know
I
if
think
that's...
it was her moving parts tour.
Yeah.
I would love to see her live. And then have you watched We're Here?
Yeah.
The other one? So talk about a good cry.
Chandler Bob and Eureka.
Yeah. It was like everything I love about Queer Eye and Drag Race in one show.
It really was.
Season 2's coming out, right?
I can't wait.
I cried every episode. I was like, I thought like, oh, I'm not gonna cry this episode.
No, forget it. And it's like ugly audible crying. It's like if you do it in public, people like check on you. Like even in New York, somebody would stop and they'd be like, "Are you all right?"
You know,
going
on.
Yeah,
right. Well, speaking of drag queens, Jiggly Caliente was in the movie that you were in, Meltwater.
Mm-hmm.
So
that was
can you tell us about
good
that?
Segue. Yes,
that
was so good. I'm sorry to even cut it up, but I was just she's
give me
brilliant.
Oh yeah, I thought about it.
She's a whole professional.
Yeah. Yes, Milkwater. It's a lovely, lovely movie. It's my first movie. I'm so excited. We shot it before, luckily, before everything got shut down. Thank you.
It's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, it's this lovely movie. It's about this young woman named Milo, who's played by Molly Bernard from Younger, if you know that show, which just their new season just premiered.
Yep.
And she, which I can relate to this, is in her mid-30s and looking around, and all of her friends are adulting much better than she is. Oh my God, yeah. They all have kids, or they're married, or they at least have stable employment. So she's sort of looking for meaning, and very rashly decides to be a surrogate for this older gay man that she meets in a bar, who's played by Patrick Breen. And he's been looking for a surrogate and having trouble, and so she decides to do it. And so the movie sort of follows her over that journey of the pregnancy and how it does change her and how she grows, and her relationship with him, which becomes very complicated. And then her relationship with her friends, who, you know, one of her good friends has a baby, and she's like, you know, so things get sticky, but it's a really lovely, lovely story. And Molly is phenomenal. And I play this sweet guy named Ted, who I'm her best friend's boyfriend. And he's played by Robin De Jesus, if you know him, Tony nominee, Broadway star, one of the nicest humans on the planet. And I was a huge fan of his, and I found out I was gonna be his boyfriend, and I was like, oh my God. And I originally was Tinder Teddy, and I had about 15 minutes to get ready for it was a last minute audition, and I was running from one day job to another one and filmed it. And I basically did an Alexis impression, because I didn't have time to read the script. And this is my first Schitt's Creek impression. I was like, I don't know. He feels like if Alexis was a wide-eyed gay guy living in Hell's Kitchen. And it wasn't until after I got the part that I read the script, and I was like, oh, it's not a comedy. But somehow got the part. I was on set, and the director, Morgan, came up to me, and she was like, yeah, your audition was just so different from everyone else's. It was a really bold choice. I was like, well, they probably read the script. But I got the part, and I was in my first scene, and you know, she and Robin have a little fight, and he storms out, and I got to improv my line as I was exiting. And luckily I'd gotten to meet Molly before, and Molly Bernard is also a lovely, lovely person. And so I'd improv a little line on the way out and it would make the crew laugh. And so before you know it, my part just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger, because they were like, well, Ted is super fun. He's no longer Tinder Teddy, he's Ted. And he's a real role in this movie. And I kind of became like the sweet, kind of wide-eyed outside observer to her friendships, who like periodically, when they're all bickering, and trying to, chimes in. He's like, I don't know, she seems nice. Like, that's who Tinder. He's very sweet, and he wears very short shorts. He like never wears normal pants in this movie. So
I love that.
You see a lot of my legs. And we shot in the winter, so it's very cold. But
and them legs are everything. I love that. You got to keep them out, child. Let them know.
Right. Yeah, but it was really fun, and we saw the screen. It's a beautiful, beautiful movie. And what's nice is it is very like LGBTQ. Like it's a very, everyone who is in it is actually, is played by somebody who is whatever it is, and it's a very inclusive film, which I really loved.
We love that.
I love that.
Yeah.
All encompassing.
Yeah.
Representation.
I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, it's coming out soon. It'll be, I can't say yet, but within the next couple of weeks, it'll be streaming on one of the major platforms.
Okay.
I was I was ready for that exclusive. I was like, tell us now.
So
I wish I knew. The producers know what a gab I am, and they were like, we can't tell him because no one knows it.
It's like the whole Tom Holland thing where they can't tell him anything because he's always going to say a spoiler.
Oh, is that real? Is that true?
Yeah, Tom Holland keeps like yapping his mouth. They're like, you have to stop.
And he keeps posting pictures from the set. He keeps doing some weird shit, and they're like, Tom, hey, this ain't your first film. What are you doing? And he's like, oh, I'm just keeping note of what I do. They said, well, quit posting it. Like, I don't care. Like, it's just me and Zendaya in a room. They said, we don't care.
That would be me. They'd be like, Michael, you can't tell anybody when this is coming out. I'd be like, okay, cool. And then the first person I saw, I'd be like, do you know this is happening? Like,
that's me. I have that too.
It's terrible.
And you won at Brooklyn Film Fest, right?
Yeah, so it already played all the festivals, and that was a real bummer with COVID, like not being able to physically go. But yeah, it won a few, Best Picture and Best Screenplay.
Word.
Yeah, so it's got some nice momentum coming into when it comes out. Yeah, I'm really proud of it. It's a really lovely movie.
Okay.
That's great. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
So if
you have this role.
Did you say extras?
Did you say what?
No, I was like, if you needed any extras or anything like that,
Oh. For when we do, we kept joking on set that Robin and I needed a spinoff because we had way too much fun together, and we would just like make up lines and banter, and they were like, you two need your own little sitcom, and we both were like, yes, we do.
Okay.
Give us, yeah,
and we will be in it. So.
Yes, and you guys will obviously be in it. This will be how the show starts. Every episode begins with an episode of the podcast.
That would be great. We'll be those podcast friends. This has absolutely been amazing, and I'm super excited for people to see your work and your film. Tell everyone where they can go check you out online to see all of your quarantines and everything that you're doing.
Yes, thank you. So yes, because I'm still making my quarantine times. It's on TikTok and Instagram at M Judson Berry, and on the YouTubes, which is Michael Judson Berry, and where else am I? And Twitter, Michael Judson 1 Berry, because I'm pretty sure I made an account under M Judson Berry when I was in college, and then have no clue how to go in and cancel it. So it's M Judson Berry, but there's a 1 somewhere in there.
That means you're number 1. We'll take that.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's why you come on the podcast. We'll make you feel good.
Thank you.
Well, listen, when you come back to the city, because we're in the city as well, we have to get together, do brunch. That's our favorite thing. We love to take our guests to brunch, but we won't pay because we can't do that. But we love to take our guests to brunch.
Darrell!
And hang out.
Now we have to pay.
No, we're gonna pay.
Now you just made me feel like I will take turns.
No. Nobody's paying. We're just gonna go to brunch and use our celebrity status, and they're just gonna yours, ours. It's gonna work. It'll be fine.
Between all of us, yeah. Well, at least get a free dessert.
A free cup of coffee, maybe.
A cup of coffee.
Well, I am back in town next week, so you just let me know when, because you guys are fun.
Do that.
Yes,
I love it.
And Max, Tanny.
Same. Yeah. Talk about a good feeling.
Amen.
To be gay and vaxxed. I love it. what we do. So, Michael, thank you again for joining us here at Pride the Podcast, and we will speak to you very soon. We love you, and congratulations on everything that you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Stay
You
safe
guys are
out
great.
there.
You
Thank
too.
you, Michael.
Bye.
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 Bye.